What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel, and today this is the promised spoiler review of The Batman. And sorry it took me a while to get to this. I don't like to just run to the theater, the next day and watch a movie again. I usually want to wait a couple weeks, and now that I've had that opportunity, it's time to dive back into this film, which I gave a very high score to. I said that this was a masterpiece. Am I still standing by that? I think so. There's some more nitpicks maybe I have throughout the film. I don't think it's a perfect movie. It is not my favorite superhero movie, and honestly, I don't think it's my favorite Batman movie. I prefer the Nolan trilogy. I say that, of course, there's probably going to be more Batman films within this universe, and we'll see which I ultimately prefer. But right now, after just one movie, I like Batman Begins better, and I also like The Dark Knight better. I think I definitely prefer this film over The Dark Knight Rises, although I like that movie. But as an overall trilogy, that's still my Batman right now. As for this film, it is just a very well-made movie. It's got, such a great score. I talked about all that. For those thoughts, check out my non-spoiler. But for today, I'm just going to kind of run through the plot and talk about this movie sort of scene by scene. And I'm not going to let it take too long. We're just going to kind of run through it. I'm looking at an overview of the plot right now. And it does start out with that really interesting scene where you see the dad kind of picking up his kid or playing around. He falls down. He is obviously just playing around with his kid. And you see the wife there. And you don't really know who this is, who's watching them. And at first you might think, is that going to be, are we going to do this again? Which so many movies have already done, where you see, the murder of Bruce Wayne's parents. Is that Bruce Wayne as a child? Okay, we're doing a little flashback. We're doing this. No, that was not what was going on. Instead, this was the Riddler just watching a local politician here, and he's about to whack that dude. And it shows that pretty intense scene without actually showing anything overly violent. I think they tried hard to keep this at PG-13. I've heard from some people that this movie could have been easily rated R. I don't really see that. It doesn't feel like a rated R movie, but I think that might make it a little bit better. Not showing, you don't need to show too much gore. You don't need to show too much. We're getting it with the vibe. It's really powerful, and we're getting that the Riddler here is one sick mother effer who does some sickening things. We don't have to see all of it in its gory details. So this opening scene was pretty awesome when I found out that it wasn't just a rehash of Bruce Wayne's parents getting killed. Then James Gordon discovers a message that the Riddler left for the Batman, and the commissioner berates him for allowing this vigilante, the Batman, to enter the crime scene. So that was a very interesting scene. We see James Gordon. He's just trying to get this solved. He'll take whatever help he can get, and he knows the Batman. The Batman is involved here. A message was left for him. He invites the Batman into the crime scene to try to help. Everyone else is like, they don't like the Batman. No one likes the Batman, except James Gordon is the only one even willing to let him work with him. And I didn't find it as the most realistic scenario. Usually, you're going to get whatever help you can get. This message was left for the Batman. You're going to ask him about it. You're going to bring him on board. But they just wanted to show that, everyone else thinks this dude is just a lunatic. And James Gordon is the only guy who actually, cares for the Batman, or actually wants to let the Batman help a little bit. And then they find that thumb drive because Batman figures out that they're looking for a thumb drive in the car, and it's connected to an actual thumb. And it was pretty funny. The Batman holds it up, thumb drive, because that little bit of humor I mentioned in my non-spoiler, where the Batman just says something. He's not trying to be funny per se. He's not trying to make a joke. He's just factually holding it up and saying, "Look, there's a thumb on it, thumb drive." And just him saying that and holding it up is absolutely hysterical. And it wasn't his idea to put a thumb on the thumb drive. That was what the Riddler did. But just the Batman pointing it out is absolutely hilarious. So, there is a couple moments of levity in this film. If I just before I forget, later on in the movie, there's the moment where he's in the Catwoman's house, and there's like a million cats there. And he doesn't say anything for a while, but he looks down. There's like 4 cats around his feet, and he finally says, "You got a lot of cats." So there's a couple of those moments. But who wouldn't say that? He is a human being after all, at the end of the day. He's a serious human being. He's damaged. He's messed up, but You know, you're in someone's house and there's a million cats and you got cats all over the place. Sooner or later, you're going to be like, you got a lot of cats there. And he finally said it, and it was hilarious. So a couple of little moments of levity, I think, help out this film quite a bit. But anyway, sooner or later, they go to the nightclub that's operated by the Penguin. And I think that his character is awesome. I love that. You know, he's the nickname, the Penguin. It sounds like a gangster type nickname. You know, somebody would have that. And he's got the scars. And he just looks like one of those mobsters that you don't F with in any way, shape, or form. And he's awesome. He's got the accent down. He's just amazing. A great character right there. Colin Farrell, just an amazing job as the Penguin there. Shout out to him for that. You can't even recognize the actor behind this character. He's completely into this character. But anyway, Batman and Gordon, check out the thumb drive. It's got pictures of the Mayor Don Mitchell. Pictures of him with a woman, Anika Koslov. And so they go to question the Penguin about it, and Penguin doesn't know what the hell. He says he has no idea. And then the Batman notices that Selina Kyle, who is, I guess, girlfriend, roommate of Anika, he sees her, follows her home, and he's going to send Selina in, the Catwoman. He's going to send her in to find out more, to question him. Basically, she's going in as a informant, basically, and it's a really intense scene right there. And I guess she's got the camera in her eyes, and there's this scene right before she goes in. That was my phone. Sorry if you heard that. There was this scene right before she goes in to the club where the Batman, they're kind of looking intense, and he starts to move towards her face, and you can see she's getting nervous, like, he's coming and kiss me, okay, because maybe they like each other, maybe there's an attraction there. So he's going in, and she's like, and then he's like looking at her eyes, like gazing into her eyes. Okay, it looks good. He's just checking out the camera in the eyes and making sure it looks good. And she's like, that was a funny scene right there. A funny little scene just to throw in there. Like, that was a pretty creative scene. I don't think I remember ever seeing something like that in any other movie that I can recall. So a pretty creative scene, how you gaze into someone's eyes and start getting closer, but it's nothing romantic. He's just checking out the camera in the eyes, and it was pretty funny. But she does get in there and finds out that there is some dirty cops, that one of the guys, Pete Savage, one of the top cops there, and he is on the payroll of the Penguin. So some dirty cop there. That's one of the cops that kind of leading the show, and he does not like the Batman. He was the one that chewed out Gordon for allowing the Batman to help out in the investigation. So she finds that out. But the Batman starts pressing her too hard, and she eventually shuts that camera off, pulls it out. I don't remember exactly, but shuts off communication with the Batman. But the whole scene was really intense. The music, everything right here so far, this movie at this point is basically perfect as far as just the tone, the vibe. It's intense, and I'm just loving it so far. Another guy that's dirty that she found out was the district attorney, Coulson. He's also dirty. He's also on Penguin's payroll. So obviously a lot of corruption. That's kind of what the theme of, Batman is in this, insane town, in this insane city of Gotham. A lot of corruption going on. Catwoman also finds out that the district attorney is dirty. District attorney is also on the Penguin's payroll, and his name is Coulson. And eventually he is going to be abducted by the Riddler, and he's got a bomb attached to him. And the Batman's got to go try to save this guy. And eventually they're talking. The three of them in communication. Batman's trying to help, but he's got to answer these three riddles. That's a pretty interesting scene. And the Riddler's even allowing the Batman to help give him answers. So, he's saying Coulson's got to answer these three riddles. I mean, obviously he's on the phone, but I feel like the Riddler knows exactly what he's doing. He doesn't care if the Batman helps him, answer him. So he gets the first two riddles right. But then the third question asks for an informant, a rat. This is a big theme in the movie, the rat. Who is the rat who basically gave up information so that they were able to arrest this big-time mobster? And he refuses to answer. He knows, he said, I can't. The bomb's about to go off, bro. You're about to die. You understand? You're going to die. Me personally, I just if I'm going to die anyway, I'll just give the answer and take my chances. Maybe I know I'm going to get whacked later, but I think he's also worried he's going to kill his whole family. Like, he was so terrified of giving up this information, he allowed himself to get blown up. This is a scene where the Batman is right on him, and there's a huge explosion, and it throws the Batman back. And when you watch it again, I mean, you might think, like, the Batman would be, I know he's got some armor on. He should be jacked up. He should be freaking dead, dude, or at least seriously hurt, because he was right there. I think it would have been more realistic that when it got to 3-2, that Batman started like, okay, I'm out, okay, and started moving back and started trying to get away from it and dives away. And that way, it's a little more plausible that he survives and is not even hurt. So the Batman and Gordon do some more digging, come to find out that the Riddler's actually got something against the Batman and his family and could be trying to do something terrible to him or to his household. And he's able to figure out that they're in danger over there at the Batman's house. So at that point, he starts trying to get in touch. He starts trying to go home to help, trying to get in touch with Alfred, but Alfred has already opened a package sent to the Batman, and it blows up. And it's cool the way that they shot this, the way that the sequence here, because it looks like, from what we can see, it's all happening at the same time. The Batman and Gordon are doing their investigation, trying to find out the information. And at the same time, you got at the house, Alfred opening up this package. He's curious about it. He wants to check it out. He's starting to open it up. But really, that had already happened earlier. Alfred had already opened up that package, and it had blown up. And I thought for a moment that he might be killed, which would have been insane, but no, it didn't kill him. It sent him to the hospital. Another situation where how the hell did he survive that? So that's the second big explosion where somebody, it's like, it looks pretty bad. He's opening a package right here, and it's a giant explosion. So twice now we've had that happen, and both times they survived. Obviously, Alfred's a little more messed up, but Alfred doesn't have all that Batman armor. But anyway, he survives, but then things get insane when the Batman finds out, because the Riddler leaks some information about the Batman's father, Thomas, who is also a politician, who the Batman thinks is just an upstanding citizen who never, did anything morally horribly wrong. But now information is out there that he actually hired Falcone. Falcone is the big head boss. He's the big guy here. He's the boss of Penguin. And information comes out that the Batman's dad hired Falcone to whack or at least seriously threaten a journalist. That's the debate right there, whether he hired him to kill him or whether he just hired him to threaten him into being quiet, because the journalist was going to put out information about the Batman's mother, Martha, and obviously his dad's wife, that she was mentally ill or had mental health problems. Instead of threatening him, Falcone whacked the journalist, and then the Batman's parents supposedly, or the Batman's dad, was going to, turn him into the police for that. He was going to call the police and try to turn him in for murder, and that's why he and Martha got whacked. So they really put some backstory. They don't show it to us, but there's a lot of backstory into this, and it causes serious emotions in the Batman. And by the way, John Turturro plays Falcone. I mentioned in my non-spoiler how much I think he was fantastic, and he did a great job in the film. Very intimidating, boss-type guy as well, and just great casting here for the villains. I think the villains are awesome in this movie. But at some point, I'm not sure if it's before or after, at this point I'm a little bit lost in the order, but there is that point where the Batman is at Selina Kyle's house, Catwoman, and they talk, and that's when the Catwoman says something along the lines of talking crap about the politicians and all the corruption and everything. It's just these rich, white, privileged, and I just found it to be unnecessary. You don't have to bring race into it. It comes off to me as a racist comment. You may say, no, dude, but of course it is, because if it was any other race, it would be considered extremely racist, ridiculously racist. It would never be in the movie unless they wanted to make a sick, horrible, racist villain who everyone hates. That's the only way that would make it into a movie. I wasn't overly offended. It just took me out of the film for a second. It was like, really? We're gonna say that in the movie? Really? This awesome movie? You got to throw that little line in there. You have to have Hollywood. You have to have your little identity politics line, referring to a group of people as white privileged assholes. Was that necessary? I don't think that was necessary. But there's another important part of the plot here in this film where you have Selina Kyle and I mentioned her girlfriend, roommate earlier. She gets whacked. She gets killed. And Selina Kyle's trying to find out who killed her and why. And eventually she finds out it is Falcone. And it's revealed that Falcone is her father. So we have the serious, big, reveal here, a little bit of a twist, and it's pretty shocking, pretty surprising. So she's going to kill her own father. That's her plan, because this guy's a bad dude, needs to be taken out. The Batman tries to stop her, doesn't want him dead just yet, doesn't want her to kill him, and And there's a cool scene where she kicks him off of a roof anyway, and that was a pretty badass scene because it looks like they had gotten to her, they talked to her, and you think maybe she's gonna say okay. Instead, they say something about this is gonna ruin your life, and she says it's okay. I got 9 lives. Boom, and kicks him off of the building, and it's a pretty badass scene. But the Batman's able to use his tools to go and bring him back up. The Riddler's able to whack Falcone anyway, and then it gets to this point where this plan gets revealed that the Riddler has to blow up basically the entirety of Gotham and cause mass, death, which is kind of odd because that really wasn't his whole plan. He always thought he was like the Batman. He was taking out just the bad people, which is crazy. But that's what in his mind was. He's obviously not. The Batman's there to help people and stop these horrible people when he needs to. But on the other hand, the Riddler's just trying to kill them. He's a psycho, but still, that was kind of his thing. He thought him and Batman were one and the same, so I don't know why he's planning to blow up the entire city of Gotham and kill a bunch of innocent people. Because really, he targets the corrupt. That's his whole deal. That's why he killed that politician early on. So I'm trying to figure it out. Let me know in the comment section why he's blowing up the entire, blowing up Gotham. Like maybe he just thinks it's just a corrupt city and the whole thing needs to just go burn down because it's all jacked up. Maybe something like that. But he talks to Batman in a really intense scene. I love the scene where they talk and, the Batman rejects him. He's like, no, he doesn't want nothing to do with him. Of course, he doesn't know that the Batman, I don't think he knows that the Batman is actually Bruce Wayne and he hates Bruce Wayne. So it's weird because he hates Bruce Wayne, but he also loves the Batman. Which does remind me another thing about this movie and why I prefer the Nolan trilogy and why I prefer that Batman is indeed this Batman. When you really watch it, I miss the other side, the Bruce Wayne side. The guy who goes out, the billionaire who kind of smiles. He's a totally different character. Totally different character. Here, certainly not. The same dude. He is just a depressed, miserable guy. And it doesn't matter if he's in the Batman suit or not. You don't have that alternate reality, the alter ego. Okay, it doesn't exist. He's always miserable. He's always pissed off. He's just him. He's the Batman. Bruce Wayne doesn't matter. That's him. I do like when we see the super intense, like, online community, this wacko, insane community here, and led by, obviously, Riddler, and they're showing the chat room going and everything, and then the point where the bombs go off throughout the city, and the Riddler from his... he knows the timing of the bomb, so from his jail cell or whatever, he's going boom, and at the same time, boom. It's super intense. It's insane. I don't totally get why he's doing it, but it was a crazy scene. So things came to a head there, and it was just wild. He's also trying to assassinate the new mayor, the mayor-elect, or the new mayor. I'm not sure if she's already been, I think she's already been sworn in, but the Riddler's trying to kill her as well. Doesn't quite get that accomplished. The Batman's able to save her. And then ultimately, the water just from the explosions floods the entire city. Gotham is just screwed. And this is the point where they kind of plug in this new character. It's a character that attacked him. Looked like one of just a typical follower of the Riddler. One of the many, guys all, decked out in their crazy gear. And eventually he pulled off his mask or whatever. And why are they talking? Why are they interested in this guy? First of all, who are you? Why are they interested in this random dude? He's just one of many random... Oh, but he ends up being the Joker. There's this indication, I guess, that he's the Joker, or why? And then he ends up in the same jail cell. And why would he end up in the same... He's in the same jail cell as the Riddler, and they start talking and stuff. It's supposed to be like a little... I don't know, just a little tease for the next movie. It was crap. I didn't like it at all. I didn't like that. That was just felt shoved in, and it's confusing at first because you're like, what's going on here? Who is this? Is this the real guy behind all this? It wasn't the Riddler? Someone else was behind all this? No, it's just a tease? What is this crap? And it just was not needed. I didn't think it was needed at all. Much more effective was like the end of the Batman Begins with just the card. To flip the little playing card, the movie's over. You're like, oh, shit. Joker, and just a little sign, just something. I don't mind a little tease, just something, just a little indicator. But that was just too much. I didn't like that. At the end of the movie, anyway, Catwoman bounces. She's like, dude, Gotham is beyond saving. The Batman hangs around. He's going to continue to do what he does. And the movie pretty much ends there. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, the only real complaints I had, I mentioned in my first review, I didn't like the line by the Catwoman. I didn't think it was necessary. I thought it brought the film to a screeching halt and just gave people a reason to criticize the film, call it woke. It's not a woke movie, but why throw that line in there? Just unnecessary. I'll continue to maintain that it was an unnecessary line. And so there was that, and then there was that last that character at the end, the Joker, shoved in there, whoever it's supposed to be. I don't know, but it was completely unnecessary and just didn't help the movie, in my opinion. Didn't help the flow of it at all. So you had that. That was my only two criticisms of my non-spoiler, but also I miss Bruce Wayne. I miss the real Bruce, the billionaire Bruce Wayne, the different, Bruce Wayne. That's a different character from the Batman. I miss that as well. But I think the villains are kick-ass in this movie. I think the protagonists are kick-ass in this movie. But overall, just a great film. It really is. I think it is a masterpiece when you take everything into account with the music and just the way that this movie's got a thrilling punch to it. It's really fun and really terrifying at times. It's got some horror elements, it's got everything, and a little bit of levity, the little bit of comedy helps. And overall, like I said, I do think it's a masterpiece. I said 9.8. I mean, probably more like a 9.5, 9.6. Maybe it doesn't, not meriting that close to a 10. But I think it's fantastic. Highly recommended. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section down below. And hope you guys enjoyed this full spoiler review. We're going to talk to y'all next time.